to replace Jurgen Klopp, and a little bit on a Wolves winger that Liverpool are after. We've not been in for a Wolves winger for a long time, boys. So I think we're due one right about now. First of all, boys, how are you doing? Tom, first of all, I'll look up to you. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good. Cheers. All good. Quite not too surprised by the big news coming out today. I think it's been in the waiting for a while, hasn't it? But all good.
It came out of nowhere, didn't it? It came absolutely out of nowhere. I don't know who it shook or who it surprised, but Alan's giving me a surprise. Look, are you surprised by the news, Alan?
I was, yeah. That earthquake you heard was me collapsing when I heard the news in pure shock. No, it's not surprising at all. It won't surprise me again if in a couple of days' time he says he's staying. Honestly, because a couple of years ago he was leaving, and next minute he signed a contract and took over the club, I think. So I don't know what'll happen, So it doesn't interest me in the slightest, if I'm being honest, because he ain't coming to us.
How are you doing?
Oh, no, I'm great. Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
How about you, Carter? How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. It was interesting when the news came out, but it's almost like when you're watching like a TV show and there's like a couple that you think are going to get together and it just takes years and years and years and you kind of just get bored of it. It's like like The Office was like Jim and Pam. It's just that kind of thing where it's just do it already. Like we've been waiting for years. It's like Sancho to United. It's just on and on and on. It just do it already. Like it's just
It's a bit like these documentaries you watch. The thing about these football documentaries, I absolutely love them, but you know the ending. We already know the ending. What's going to happen here? Mbappe is going to end up joining Real Madrid. We're going to talk about that anyway. First of all, the big news tonight is Kylian Mbappe is leaving PSG. I know I hope you're sitting down for this news, but that's the truth. It's PSG are finally getting rid of their star man. I say getting rid of. He's finally escaping. I think that's probably the word right now, because PSG have held him back for so long from winning that Champions League. He's got to come to a bigger club, and those bigger clubs available right now are Liverpool and Real Madrid. They're the two clubs that are fighting for him right now. We've had many conversations about Mbappe at Liverpool, but it looks like Real Madrid done it, Tom.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of known it realistically. Obviously, the rumours have been going around for years about the whole idea of him coming to Liverpool. I think we've all known deep down it's never going to happen. It's been nice to laugh and joke about it, but I think, like I said, we've all known that his only destination is going to be Real Madrid. FSG, in charge, it's never a realistic possibility to go for a marquee player like that. As nice as it'd be, but I think it's just the inevitable. It's going to happen, and he's going to end up at Madrid. Yeah.
Alan, there were rumours the other day about Real Madrid not budging on what he's asking for, really, because Mbappe is on a lot, a huge amount, probably the most amount in the world right now. And it's come out that Atletico said that PSG will be saving €200 million a year on this player alone. So, is it going to be a case of Mbappe just have to say, hang on, I have to just shop my wages here to get the move that he wants?
Yeah, I think he might have to make some leeway, because I think Madrid are the only ones who can afford to buy him. I know obviously there's no transfer fee, but there'd be a heavy signing-on fee, which is going to feel like a transfer fee. I think they're the only ones who can afford him. So I think if he knows they're the only show in town, they've kind of got the upper hand, and that's why you see links to Liverpool. I even saw a link during the week to Arsenal, which surprised me. But I think that's more the agent trying to maybe get an interest. Oh, he's not interested in Madrid anymore. Well, we know that's where he's going, so we're just messing about. So I think if it comes down to it, no one stumps up, and Madrid is the team he wants to go to, he might have to say he's still going to get well paid, but he might not get what he really, really wants. So I think he'll have to maybe stump up a little, drop down a little bit.
He has got to realise that, he's got a legacy to build, he's got a career to make, and at the end of the day, if Real Madrid and Liverpool are the only two after him and they're not willing to pay a certain amount that he wants, he's going to have to, if he wants those trophies, he wants that Champions League, he wants that legacy of being at the biggest clubs in the world, then that's what you got to do, fortunately. And it's not a bad thing to happen. Even we should consider Robertson now that he's free agent. All the best to Robertson, by the way, because he is hospitalised right now with what's going on. But I don't think many Liverpool fans would want Robertson back in charge But I hope he's okay. I hope everything's doing okay with him. And he is a great manager. Apart from the stint he had at Liverpool, you cannot argue Martin's managerial efforts and what he's done in the game itself, because he is a brilliant manager. Big up to you all, says Swidless. Big up to you, Swidless. Carter. Ornstein and Romano both come out and said it today. I mean, I don't know why Romano came out after Ornstein. I don't know if he's just trying to be that guy, which he always is, but Ornstein came out with it first. They're yet to fully agree that sort of leaving PSG, and he's still got his commitments to the club. Like Tom said, is there kind of bit of leeway that he could stay, possibly, do you think?
I think the issue with him, with Mbappe, is going to be, as you kind of mentioned before, the money he's on at PSG is so big, because obviously PSG isn't just run for sporting stuff, it's run for other stuff, which we don't need to speak about, like political stuff. But with Madrid, they know that that's the dream for him. Like you look at how much exposure and sort of PR Bellingham's got at Madrid. Like if Mbappe goes there and he does what he's doing at PSG, he's going to be in for Ballon d'Ors easily. He'll be the favourite. Like, so they know that he will have to be willing to. They can make him sacrifice money because it's the best situation for him. So I think unless sort of reputation's really soured, sort of, and they couldn't come to a sort of conclusion, I think he is. I just think he's gone at this point. Like I just can't see him. I can't see him staying now.
I think it's like overstaying your welcome in it a little bit. I think. Agents do this all the time. Don't they? Agents say they're leaving, this and this guy leaving just for new contracts. But I think it just feels like the end now, doesn't it, for PSG? I mean, this is probably their last chance to win the Champions League. I think in the next few years, decade talking, because it's like Mbappe leave. I know they got Mourani coming through and Ramos there and stuff. But when someone like Mbappe leaves, it's a huge, huge dent into what they want to do and what they want to become. Tom, is Salah for them?
I don't think Salah would be tempted by that move, to be honest. It's a far from appealing league, really, isn't it? Obviously, they're a big club, and they got a good name and everything. But I couldn't see why you'd leave Liverpool to go to PSG, obviously, apart from financial reasons. So yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that. But obviously, from their point of view, they are going to be looking at someone like Salah, because he's one of the few in the world that could replace Mbappe's output, which is just so valuable. So yeah, they're obviously going to be interested, but I can't see that being a move that'll tempt Salah, to be honest.
I mean, we are worried about Salah getting older, and we're looking to replace him at some point. But Carter, it's League One. I mean, Salah could probably play there until he's 76. So, is there a slight? Do you think there's a slight possibility that he could join PSG's Salah? Do you think there's some sort of a whiff of a croissant or something that could get his attention?
I think the issue is he's almost too good, and I feel like the money won't be as high as somewhere like Saudi. Like I feel like they do give out big wages, but I don't think Neymar and Messi were on anywhere near as much as Mbappe was. But I just think for us it's kind of like unlucky timing. That like let's say Mbappe had left when we had Sadio Mane, I reckon we probably get twice, maybe almost 3 times the fee we got from Bayern Munich, because obviously French-speaking player, sort of. So I thought they would have probably looked at him as quite a good fit to bring in, and we would have got way more money. So I don't think Salah will look at it too appealingly, but I feel like it could have, for us, it's just come at an unfortunate time to sort of maybe move on one of our players. Like maybe they would have been interested in Firmino or someone like that. So it's just a bit I think one team will get very lucky and PSG might overpay for a sort of player coming towards the end. Like maybe like Heung-min Son, maybe they'll look at him as someone and go, he's a big superstar. Like I think the young, I can't remember his name, Kang at PSG, I think he sold the most or second most shirts. So they might look at that and think it's a good commercial opportunity, and they sign someone for a lot of money who's probably already on the decline.
I think there's one player that I don't really want them to go for, because I think we should be definitely in for him. That's Kubo at Sociedad. So it is one of them things where you say it's timing. And Alan, there's going to be a point where they're needing to replace Mbappe and we're needing to replace Salah.
Yeah.
Is it bad timing for us in terms of that? Obviously, it don't have to be Salah going to PSG, but we're going for the same sort of stature of player and same sort of. I know they're completely different wings, but we still need that winger, that player that can change the game a bit like Mbappe and Salah.
Yeah, I think that could be a bit of a case, to be fair. I think, obviously, I thought with all the Saudi stuff last year, I thought in my mind this would be Salah's last season. The way the season was going this year, I thought he might end up staying and going on a free the year after. But the whole Klopp situation, and will Salah want to stay and let a new manager come in, no matter who it is? Because they're going to take time to put their philosophy on the club and the way they play. And he might think, you know what, I've done my time, I've won what I've won, maybe I should go. So if he then does go, as you say, we're both going for like a high profile, outside forward, whatever you want to call them. It then falls down to what we can offer them as clubs. I think the Premier League is quite an attractive option, as Carl said before. League One isn't that much, of a special league. So if you're a top player, other than getting more money at PSG, I don't know what else they offer you. Maybe a bit of better sunshine. But outside of that, I don't really know what they offer you. Because the league's not as competitive. I don't think a superstar going into PSG wins them the Champions League. But I think a superstar comes to Liverpool could possibly win the Champions League. Because I think our team is better than theirs. But yeah, I think it'll be a tough ask to go and try and apply for the same player. But again, how did he place Mbappe? Just like how did he place Salah? You kind of can't. You've got to rebuild your team in another way.
And the thing is with PSG, they're losing Mbappe like before his prime.
Yeah.
Salah, like, not past the hill, but you know what I'm saying? He's like in the end stage of his career. So it's an absolutely massive statement for Mbappe to leave, because it shows you where PSG are. He doesn't see any future of winning Champions League. He doesn't see that. And like you said, Liverpool will probably end up winning the Champions League before PSG do next. So at some point, PSG have got to start being, I don't know how to word this, they've got to start being, I won't say ambitious, because they have been ambitious, but they've got to start being smart about what they're doing, because they're trying to build and build and build. And if they're not winning Champions League titles, players like this are going to leave at some point, because they're going to become a stepping stone club, for which they, by their fan fans, should not be that case at all. They should be the end destination. But unfortunately for them, that's just the way it is. Paul says, good evening, guys. Sorry to be late. What have I missed? Have you sitting down, Paul? Have you got a Liverpool-style inhaler? Because Mbappe is leaving PSG. I don't know how you're going to take that, but that's the way it is. James, I think LC fan base would have a hairy what, James? I don't know what you're talking about here. If De Zerbi is the choice, saying this, there is certainly a chance Alonso chooses to stay at Leverkusen and waits for the Real Madrid job. Let's go on to that then. De Zerbi. There is a strong chance, according to Athletic, that De Zerbi will be the Jurgen Klopp replacement. I don't know how everyone feels on that, and I think everyone in our chat and everyone in the Liverpool fan base from what I've seen, I set blinkered on Alonso. I've not seen anything else as in like, oh yeah, go for that guy over Alonso. It's Alonso or something else, and it's at the most key time in the FSG era to replace Jurgen Klopp and get this director of football in, because no club, it's very rare you see a club lose their sporting director, not have a vision going forward, a backroom staff and a manager going into one season. And they've got to get every single bit of it right, because if they don't, we could be going backwards. And from all what we've seen in the last 8 or 9 years under Jurgen Klopp, from challenging the league to winning the league to winning the Champions League, it's all going to dismantle like that. If they don't get this right, it's going to dismantle so quickly. De Zerbi, Carter. I do like De Zerbi. I do like football now and then, but it can't be a strong candidate, surely not.
I think he'll definitely have to be a candidate because I almost think, obviously, I've watched football for maybe now like 14, 15 years since like I can actually understand what's going on. And I'd almost say at the moment it's quite like a weak crop of managers who are actually available. So I almost feel it's not best of a bad bunch, but it's maybe best of an inexperienced bunch. Like, it's not like maybe before where there was a lot more sort of movement of top managers. Like Ancelotti's obviously been at Everton and looks quite set at Madrid. Obviously, no chance at Pep. And I look around at the other guys, and there's no one who, apart from Alonso, screams out perfect fit, sort of that type of thing. So I think he's got to be considered. But I also think it'd be great to get Alonso, but I'm not opposed to having someone maybe as like a bit of a buffer, someone who we think is good, but maybe the first year or two might not go exactly to plan, and then you move away from them because whoever comes in, it is going to be really difficult. Like, because we might change, like when Pep left, and I think was it Luis Enrique came in. They still were successful and good, but people always criticized that it wasn't like before. It wasn't like the Pep team. They weren't as good. So I always feel like there's going to be whoever comes in it's going to be very difficult because of what Klopp's left behind and his sort of legacy and impact. So I don't think it's the worst idea to have someone in, and then maybe in a 2 or 3 years' time, Alonso then comes in and then takes over.
I think it wasn't too bad that Enrique took over Barcelona side. I mean, took over Barcelona side that had that midfield, and then they had Suarez, Neymar, Messi, which it's hard to judge him as a manager as a whole because it's not really that hard to manage that as to go on to win the league. Paul says De Zerbi's team is too inconsistent, especially in defence, but it's hard to judge that on his defence is rubbish. It's De Zerbi's fault, sort of thing. It's like it's the clientele he's got, it's the players that he's got. Obviously his defence is not going to be as good at Brighton as it is at Liverpool, for example. So, I mean, Jurgen Klopp, he wasn't the finished article at Borussia Dortmund. Still times he went to plenty of finals and lost them all. He's done it at Liverpool. There's been finals and lost them. So there's no perfect fit out there. It's just about getting whoever can, I want to say, ride the wave of Jurgen Klopp, but sort of pick up from where he's left off and keep that same culture at the club, the same feeling at the club, the same vibes. And Alonso seems to be that perfect fit because he's been at Liverpool, so he gets it. To be a Liverpool manager, you've got to get it. You've got to be a part of the fans. You've got to be part of the city. And Alonso gets that. Alan, do you think De Zerbi is a manager that could sort of make that connection the way Klopp has?
No. I don't think it's a De Zerbi thing. I don't think anyone will get the club like Klopp does. In the entire time of Liverpool's history, there's only really been Shankly, Dalglish, and Klopp. I think you've got the club as everything. Now we've had. Well, no. Paisley's a little different to when I stand by that.
I get that. But
where like Shankly was like this figurehead, and Paisley was the guy in the background. He was a genius, unbelievable genius. But he was a quiet guy. He went about it totally different. Shanks was like, this is who I am, here's what I'm about. And he got the people, and I think Klopp's got that. So I think whoever comes in, no matter who it is, he's going to have a real difficulty trying to. We as fans have to accept now, no one's going to be like Klopp. Now, will someone be as successful as him? Hopefully, yes. I imagine, obviously, I wasn't born when Shankly left, but I imagine when Shankly left, it'd be very similar to what it is now. What do we do? What are we going to do? And Paisley came in, and probably everyone thought, he's not right for the job. And look what he went and won, because he was a tactical genius. He just did it in a different way. So, but back to De Zerbi. I do like how he plays football. I think when he kind of came in, you could see. I know we played him a couple of times last year, especially away at Brighton, and I thought it was one of the few times. I know last season our legs had gone a little bit. Where you thought we were playing at the team who were going to literally do what we were doing, but just do it that bit more at that particular time. But as I think someone mentioned in the comments, obviously this team's a bit inconsistent. Well, he will be. That's the quality of player. If Pep didn't have the quality of players he's got at City, they won't be as consistent. They won't win every game. But I like how he comes across. I like how he tries to play football. It's just whether the club on a whole, I think, might swallow up a couple of managers. They might be just, "Oop, this is a bit too big for me to try and do what I want to do." And that's my only concern with him, whether he'll come here, a bit like Potter going to Chelsea. Potter I thought was decent at Brighton. He went to Chelsea, and Chelsea just swallowed him up. And I think Liverpool's a bigger behemoth than Chelsea is.
Tom, German master plan. Klopp to take over the national team after the Euros and Nagelsmann to Liverpool. Are you happy with Nagelsmann?
Not really. I think, like most fans, it's really Xavi or no one, to be honest. But I do think Nagelsmann's probably one of the top candidates, to be honest, behind Alonso. Like, if he's talking like Nagelsmann or De Zerbi, then I'm taking Nagelsmann personally, just because he's been at a big club. He knows the pressures and demands of managing a big club. Whereas De Zerbi, no disrespect to Brighton, but there's no pressure at Brighton. Like, you can kind of do what you want as long as you stay in the league. There's not really going to be any scrutiny on you. He's done a great job in terms of the football he's played, but for me, I just don't think he's got the charisma to manage a club like Liverpool. So yeah, I think it's Alonso or no one for me. But as a backup, I wouldn't be too against Nagelsmann. Not ideal, but I'd accept it over Zerbi, Thomas Frank, people like that.
That is FSG ringing up to looking for managers. I don't know if anyone sounds that. I want to hear live exclusive right now on LSE Transfer that we have FSG ringing up to find out who they want to be their manager. So, which one of you have got an interview booked?
It was my phone, but it's not me. You're not calling me.
It's not really a strong pool of candidates out there, though, is there? At the moment, it's like what Ancelotti don't really look safe at Madrid because, again, if they get a chance of jumping on Alonso, they might even go for Alonso. So Ancelotti might be available at some point anyway. Tuchel looks like he's going to believe in Bayern Munich. Nagelsmann's going to believe in Germany. Zerbi's obviously one out there. There's not many out there that you can say, oh, there's a Sporting Lisbon manager, but not many know much about him. And it's going to be a huge punt because it's a bit different to where we took over with Jurgen Klopp because we weren't really challenging. So anything from there was anything from Klopp or anything sort of a little bit better in football, a little bit better in ambition. Then it's going to look much better. Right now we're where with Jurgen Klopp we've been to the top. It's about staying at the top. It's not about progressing up to there. It's about staying at the top. So I know David likes Southgate. I do not like Southgate, Paul, at all. If we got Southgate, I watch FSG get ran out of the club tomorrow morning. I know Paul's just joking though. He knows I can't stand Southgate. Gareth Southgate is one of the worst managers I've seen in a long time, and he has so much talent there. It's quite sickening that he can actually have that talent and not do anything with it. So. Yeah, Southgate is certainly not even. He's not even on my. I'd rather all get a Solskjaer. I'm not saying something. But yeah, the pool of talent is not incredible. So De Zerbi is probably a strong candidate because of that. If that makes sense, he's not a strong. He won't be on top of everyone's list, but he's got to be up there in top 3-4 because at the end of the day, there's not many out there. So I think everyone is blinkered and set on Alonso. I think everyone actually feels like it's going to be Alonso. It seems the most logical and the most like it just fits perfectly. Even like his son being born in Liverpool, and he's taken Leverkusen perfectly to where they are this year. They could win the league, and especially if he wins the league. Because if he wins the league, he's done it at Leverkusen. If he don't win the league, then he might feel like, hang on, I've still got something to do here. If he wins the league, then he's like, I'm off. I've done what I can here, and then or does he want to see what it's like in the Champions League with Leverkusen? We don't know. I think it's just a matter of patience. And wow, what a summer this is going to be, boys! What a summer! Jurgen Klopp going, and then we still need that sport director. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. I find it mad that we even had a temporary sport director. I thought that was mad alone, but to need a full-time one coming up with Jurgen Klopp as well. This is probably the most important summer we've had in decades. Yeah, Pollender says Zabi, Frank, Thomas Frank, Nagelsmann, Ange in that order. Thomas Frank is definitely another one up there as well. I definitely a very tactically minded manager that knows how to set up his team. I think Thomas Frank, with what he's got, again, he's overachieving with what he's got. A bit like De Zerbi has at Brighton. That's where you need to look at managers like that, because are they doing more than what they can for their clubs or their teams, what they've got? Are they expecting? Are they reach expectations? That's why we got Jurgen Klopp. He did more than above at Mainz. He did more than above at Dortmund. He won the league at Dortmund and did more. We weren't expected to win the league. That's why Jurgen Klopp was a perfect fit for us. So it's going to be an interesting summer, to say the least. And where the transfers come in as well. We're talking about transfer. This is transfer room. The transfers can't be done until we've got manager and a director of football in. So it all could just knock on. It could be a knock-on system where next season could be an absolute throwaway. We don't know yet. So it's just hang in there, guys. Hang in there. But before we do go into an actual transfer rumour tonight, and please make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Over 10,000 subscribers now to the channel. And thank you everyone that has subscribed. If you are watching right now or you are watching the recorded version, please leave a like and share it with your friends. Get our name out there, get our channel out there as much as you can if you can. Thank you everyone that has supported the LC Transfer Room, by the way, because you have been amazing. Thank you for all the guests that have been on every single week and all the hosts that are on every single night, because we have created a fantastic community right here, and it's just the start of what is to come, I think. So going into the transfer news of tonight for LFC Transfer Room, according to Nizar Kentella, who is a very reliable source actually, that Liverpool are admirers of Pedro Neto at Wolves, but admirers is a funny word. Admirers is a word that we tend to use when it comes to transfers. Admirers looking from afar. I think that's Liverpool's bingo words right now. But Wolves will want a record fee, Alan.
Yeah.
How much do you reckon they'd want for Pedro Neto?
I don't know. Normally, I find, Joe, when it comes to the summer window, so the one player kind of leaves and he kind of sets the benchmark type stuff. Like, certain teams will say, well, if he's worth that much, our player we think's better is worth more. And then that's that knock-on effect of where you gauge it. And I think as well, depending, I've read rumours about 50, 60 million, which, I think is a fair price for him, really, with everything's gone on. I do like him, and I do believe if Klopp had stayed, I think he might have been someone who'd have come in. Because I know we were linked with him a couple of years ago, just after we signed Jota. But I do like him. I think he's a direct, I think he'd be great on the left-hand side. He's like, reminds me of Mane without the goals. It's just like he gets it, goes. With Diaz seems to be a bit more like dribbler, tricky, in, out, where he just gets it, goes. Try to go round, pull back, cross, whatever it might be. So if he came to Liverpool, I wouldn't be too disappointed. I think he'd be a good addition to our front line. But as I said before, it's hard to discuss any of these because we have no idea who's around and, what player genuinely, if we went to I know normally you don't on the 1st of July when the window opens, stuff. I'd give someone a call. It's all getting done now, isn't it? Let's be honest. We all know that's how it goes. So if Liverpool as a club are trying to speak to Neto and asking him, do you fancy coming to Liverpool? The first question you're going to ask him, well, who's the manager?
Yeah.
Before you say how much you're paying me, who's the manager? Who's buying me? Because, you imagine if we sign him on a 4 or 5 year deal because the club want to buy him and Alonso or whoever comes in doesn't like him and then thinks, what's the point? I don't like him and he's out on his ear. I saw a post then about injuries. That's my only concern with him, that he doesn't tend to get a little niggle. He tends to get serious injuries. That's the only downside. But at the same time, you could probably use that in your haggling with Wolves to get him down a little bit. But I think he's a good player. If he came to Liverpool, I wouldn't be too disheartened.
Well, Paul says there he's not sure that 4-3-3 would suit him, but we don't know if we're going to play 4-3-3.
Exactly, no one knows.
I think Alonso doesn't play 4-3-3, he plays 3 at the back. So, again, these whole transfer rumours, these transfer things, I don't think FSG want to buy anyway. I mean, I said all January, I wanted to buy in January. I knew that would be the case. So these transfer rumors coming out now about Neto, about and Mbappe and things like that. How do we know that the new sporting director wants him? How do we know that the new manager wants him? How do we know that's going to fit the new manager system? This is why it's so important to get this manager and this sporting director sorted ASAP. Whether it's in the background, whether it's publicly or not, it needs sorting ASAP. And that I'm saying before Jurgen Klopp leaves, because if Jurgen Klopp leaves and we ain't got a sporting director, it's like it's up in the air. We're talking. I said it earlier, like it's a knock-on effect. If it then affects the transfer window in summer, we're lacking behind again. We're not ready for pre-season. We're not, when the season starts, we're lacking match fitness, and the new signings coming in not ready to go. It's massive, absolutely massive. Neto is an assist kid, like Paul said, but he also said that he don't get many goals. Carter, is that because the Wolves? It's a Wolves system. Is it the player himself? I mean, he's got a goal in him. He's got brilliant finish on him. So I think he'd get more goals at Liverpool.
I think it's just kind of the way Wolves play, like him sort of always being wider. It's like when we've all watched like sort of the best Wolves team, I'd say, which was like Adama Traore, Jimenez, Jota. It was always quick counter attack to the byline and across. And obviously they play a bit different now, but it is still a lot of the time, a lot of their goals are cutbacks and passes across. And I just think, especially as he normally beats his players and puts the ball in. So I think if he was at a team like us, he'd definitely be on the end of more chances. I think he is, and against good teams, against top teams, he has scored goals. Like I think there was a goal against Chelsea where he sort of takes the ball from almost the halfway line on the counter attack and scores a great finish, and then I think he gets injured for 12 months, which is the downside with Neto. But I think it will be interesting because depending who the manager is, I think in my opinion, I think we have got a lot of money to spend. I think probably I'd like to see a lot of money go on a centre back if Matip leaves. But I think as we saw, we did sanction a Premier League record fee for Caicedo. So we have the money's not just disappeared, and Thiago's going to be off the wage bill, and whoever we might sell. I think there is money there, so I don't think we not sell ourselves short. But if there's any sort of top attacking talent, I don't think we should rule ourselves out, apart from maybe Mbappe and maybe Leao. But anyone sort of 100 million around that fee, I think we'll be in for them if they're a top player.
I think the money's always been there with Liverpool. It's not like we spend loads. I think the money's always been there for Liverpool. It's just whether it's been sanctioned or not. That's the whole thing about this. Is why Jurgen Klopp says, it's not me in charge of the money. This is why he says it all the time. It's not me in charge of the money. I think Jurgen Klopp would have bought an extra player or two every single season if he was in charge of the money, if I'm honest. But it is frustrating because we're going to come into the summer and I've seen Jurgen Klopp have to work on shoestrings half the time. And this is Jurgen Klopp, and he's won as a Premier League title, he's won as a Champions League title. He should have won more. Obviously, we're going to talk about Man City cheating, but Man City cheating doesn't make us go out and get Elliot, Van der Berg, and Adrian one summer. You know what I'm saying? So, and Man City cheating has also pushed us to the limit that we've been at as well. I don't think if without Man City cheating, I don't think we reach the levels that we have. So it's all ifs and buts, but what I know is, from what I've seen, is FSG have let Jurgen Klopp down many times. And if we're going to a summer now with a completely new manager, it's been hard enough for Klopp to work with that. What's it going to be like for a new manager, Tom, to work with that? Do we have that massive fee, that massive budget that everyone keeps saying that we've got? I mean, it came out the other day, I've got a massive budget.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got, the amount of revenue we make is absolutely monumental. So there's obviously significant money to be spent. The only clubs that generate similar revenue to us are Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Man United. I think in terms of the fan base and everything. So, and when you look at what them three clubs spend compared to us, it's night and day really. So there should be a lot of money to spend. FSG have let Klopp down, which is disappointing. I think those margins that we've not won the league, not won the Champions League, with an extra one or two signings, that could have made a difference. So yeah, that is disappointing. But in terms of this summer, you would like to hope they'll back the new manager. He's obviously got an impossible job trying to replace Klopp, so he needs all the support that he can get from the board, from the fans as well. But even though Klopp's leaving, I don't think there's a need for a huge overhaul. I still think the playing squad is very good. There's only one or two marquee signings maybe that we should look to target. So yeah, you'd like to think that they'll back the new manager, but I don't think there is a huge overhaul needed. So we don't need to be spending significant money, as maybe some people think. I don't think we do.
Alan, what I've noticed over the years with FSG, it's always ultimatums. It's always this or that. It's either Nunes or a midfielder instead of having both. This summer, we're going to be looking at trying to keep Trent, trying to keep Van Dijk. We've already lost Klopp. Maybe even like the Salah saga is going to come around again. Are they going to be focused on getting those and then completely not forget the transfers, but like put it to the side? Do you think?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it falls down to who obviously you get a sport director in, and obviously the manager, whoever it comes in, obviously is going to want to name his players, and then it falls down to what's the price range they fall. You've already got so much money in the kitty, and you've got to spread it over either keeping players, buying new ones, new contracts, whatever else. It is getting that right balance. And now, obviously, I know FSG get a bit of a lot of grief. I don't think the worst owners in the world. They could be better.
Not the worst, no. But
they could be the way, just looking at it, to be fair. But I think Klopp obviously was quite keen on always making sure the main players were tied up and tied down. Now, when it comes to obviously the summer, we want to make sure we get Trent side up. That's essential. That Trent's done. Then you've got the players behind that, the Curtis Joneses of the world. Obviously he's now coming to his own within the team. You want to make sure, like some of the younger players who are going to break in, the Conor Bradleys, they're all tied down to good deals. Then what's left over, as Tom said, I don't think we need major surgery to the team. So do we go and, as you say, buy a superstar forward or a superstar centre half or whatever, and like blow your budget on that one player because that's what you need, or do you go and spread it out a little bit and go and get 3 or 4 potential world-class players? But again, as you said before, it all depends on what the new manager wants. If he's happy with the defenders you've got, then he might think, well, no, I want a potential, like, I don't know, I want a centre-half who can play left-back as well as someone who, because obviously I saw that, I don't know whether everyone saw that piece Carragher done on Alonso on Monday Night Football. If you ever watched it, I suggest you go and watch it. It's available on YouTube. And he was talking about, obviously, there was like one point when he was showing, I think it was the second goal for Leverkusen against Madrid. The guy who was attacking his goal was the left wing back, and the guy who was overlapping him was the left centre half. It was bizarre watching it, but it's not done by accident. It's trained. And obviously, all these players are capable of literally interchanging position a little bit. So I think the manager comes in, if it is Alonso, he might look at some places, well, can he move into midfield or can he move outside? If not, I then need to go and buy players who can potentially do that. Now, how much money do they cost? It all falls down to that. You go and then buy a big name player. But look at the players that he's bought at Leverkusen. If it's Alonso again, we always assume it is. Not many of that big names when he's bought them. But he's obviously seen something, he's been well scouted. And I think if Liverpool get the scouting done, they don't need to go and buy the ready-made one. They can go and buy the guy who's on the way to becoming ready-made.
I mean, players over there like Wirtz and Frimpong and Mbappe, they are going to go for substantial fees. And I've said it before, every single player in the world right now is probably overpriced. Every single one, there's a very odd few, like when we got Robertson for 8 million, but no one ever expected him to be at the world class left back he was. So you're going to get your rarities, but most players are overpriced. So that's why when I don't really look at fees as much. I won't say Nunes is an £85 million player. He's not playing like an £85 million player. When Van Dijk came, everyone said he won £80 million. When Alisson came, it said he won £75 million. But it's about what they do on the pitch for me. And that money doesn't. I don't care about what money we pay for them. If they perform on the pitch, it could be 20 million or 80 million. If they're doing the bits on the pitch, then it doesn't really matter. Alan says here, how the ground and training extensions being paid back as loans to FSG from Liverpool? The answer is yes to that, Alan. PSG have loaned money to the club to extend the Anfield and extend the training ground and the new training ground. That will be paid back by the club itself. The only thing really FSG really put money into is don't know really, because they try to fail on their staff and they end up paying, apart from probably wages and just running the club itself. But the club is paying that back to FSG. FSG do actually use Liverpool's name and to get the loans as well, because they're a big name, and that's how they get other franchises as well in other spots. But yeah, Bakayoko is a no-brainer for 35 million. But again, Bakayoko, if we get Bakayoko now this summer, then it might be 35 million. But if we wait long, it's going to go up again. And that's our prices. If we get these players early, we could have done this with, instead of waiting for Bellingham for 3 years, we could have got McAllister earlier, we could have got Szoboszlai earlier. We could have made these transfers early and not have to throw away a Thiesa, for example. But this is the problem I have, because we use Bellingham as an excuse to not buy anyone. I don't want the same to happen again to the new manager, because when the new manager comes in, it needs to, I won't say kick off straight away, but it needs to have ambition behind him, and it needs to have a bit of faith. Just a vision. And I find it funny that that Jurgen Klopp did decide to leave in a meeting with FSG. I find that really, really, it's not a conspiracy, but I find that really odd that he decided, is this the future for me? Is he worried about the future of Liverpool? I think the truth will come out in the end. Obviously, Jurgen Klopp can't say much at the moment, but it's going to be definitely an interesting summer. Alonso is the only choice for LFC manager, in my opinion. Is it? I think, boys, you've already answered that, don't you? I think you all have pretty much said Alonso, but there's other candidates as well that we've got to consider, because Alonso is not guaranteed to join us. Paul's asked a question here. How are you feeling we'll sell Lucio in the summer? Alan, would you sell Diaz in the summer?
No, but I can see why it might happen. I know there's stuff, I think it was the last year, that his family members were obviously Barcelona fans, and Diaz's ultimate dream was to go and play in Barcelona, and I'm a little bit like Klopp in the sense that if you don't want to be here and you think you want to go somewhere else, then thanks for your service, go off and do what you got to do. I wouldn't want him to go, because I think he's had a tough personal life this season, obviously with everything that's going on with his dad, but you are starting to see bits of his brilliance all over again. He looks really, really good, and he looks fired up as well. So I wouldn't want to sell him. But if you are going to bring a forward in, out of the players who play in the front three, he would probably be the one who you could probably let go and it not be as much of a kick up as it would be. I think if Jota went, there'd be a bit more of what Salah obviously goes. Obviously, it might be his choice. And obviously, Nunes is adored by the fans. So he'd probably be the only one who you probably get away with going. But I wouldn't want him to go. I'd happily keep him, because I think he's a great player.
I think Diaz, yeah, he has potential. Again, he has potential to be absolutely world class. It's just recently, in the recent games, he's becoming predictable. He's becoming, I don't know, he's trying the same thing over and over again. He's not trying anything different. He's either trying to cut inside and losing the ball, or passing it away. And when he's not getting his shot off or not getting his cross off, like pretty much all the time, it's frustrating to watch. It's really frustrating to watch. At least Nunes gets a shot off in the end. He might hit the corner flag, but at least he gets a shot off. And Diaz, sometimes I think he's trying too much. I don't know if he's trying too hard to do something by himself, but he didn't need to do that. He's got players around him to give him go or create diversions for him. And I agree with you in terms of being the one out of the front lot that you'd accept leaving more than anyone else. I think that's definitely one. But you would have to go big. If we lost Diaz, for example, on the left-hand wing, I think we'd have to go for someone like, I'm not saying Mbappe, but Mbappe obviously would have been number one. But then, like Paul said here, Vaca Leao, then there's Vatsikeli at Nepal. Carter, would you be willing to sell Diaz if it meant getting someone like Leao or Vatsikeli?
Personally, I don't know if people will agree. I'd drive Diaz to Saudi Arabia myself. I know he's had a hard year, but ever since that sort of injury, I don't think he's been the same player. I think he sort of beats players when he's sort of on the half turn, but I genuinely, standing one-on-one, I can't remember the last time he's properly gone past a player. Like, I also think, I think Robertson's declined a lot, and I don't think they've ever struck up a proper partnership like Mane and Robertson did.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been, I've never ever gone on, like, obviously there's been probably one or two passes here or there, but him and Mane sort of telepathic, overlapping, underlapping each other. I don't think they've ever developed that. I think he gets a few goals, but I don't think for the amount of games he's played, you maybe like more goals and assists, definitely more assists. And I think just while Saudi's there, I don't think Barcelona will be anywhere near him. I don't think they'll be interested at all. But if Saudi Arabia there and there's a good offer, I'd take him. And lots of people won't like this, but there's a guy who supports Liverpool, who's Premier League proven, who's looked really dangerous, had good games against Man City, called Anthony Gordon, whose team's in FFP trouble. I think he's been to Wembley to watch Liverpool. He's one. I think also it really pissed off the Everton fans. I think it'd be great, but I'd happily move him on for someone like Anthony Gordon. I don't even think we need to spend £100 million on someone like Kvaratskhelia, who's probably definitely had a way worse season than Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon is a shout, Becca. It's a shout there.
He's phenomenal. Honestly,
phenomenal,
he's so good.
Ran
Trent and Van Dijk ragged. He's been really good this year. Every game, I think he's a bit like everyone likes Almiron for working hard, but I think Anthony Gordon works extremely hard and is actually extremely good. He was like player of the tournament at the under-21s when England won. I think he'd be great for us.
It would be an incredible transfer if we got that, as in like not just like an incredible player to get in, but just the situation of him leaving Everton up there to Newcastle, and a lot of Liverpool fans do not like him at all. So that would be fun to watch unfold. But I think Paul, for me, said Leao. I think Leao would be that sort of level of player that we should be looking for. I think we should go for Mbappe, but you know, Mbappe it's more of like I've accepted that we're not going to get him. So, Paul says here also about Thiago, about going out in Mbappe and Wirtz coming in. I think Wirtz is definitely an incredible player. Again, Wirtz is the only player we'd get if Alonso came, because he's that system. And right now we don't play that system to Wirtz. Wirtz is a bit like it's a bit like trying to get Carvalho in. We're trying getting Carvalho. We're trying to hook-line him into a different position, and it don't work. I think Wirtz has to come with Alonso. I think it'd be an incredible signing for Wirtz, but again, it's all Alonso, isn't it? I think it's all getting that manager across, getting that director of football across, and then we'll start looking at players and what players we need for certain positions. Because if we get De Zerbi, and then these players, you know, a lot of these players will be off our list because we want to suit the system that De Zerbi wants. So once we get the manager done, once we get the squad director done, I think that's when we can start having this proper conversation about what players we need and what players need to go, really, because we don't know if Luis Diaz is going to suit Alonso either. John says, hi guys, do you think we'll sell Kelleher in the summer, and how much for? Tom, Kelleher, it's a player that is happy to be here right now and perfect backup to Alisson, but at some point we've got to let him go and let him fulfil what he needs to fulfil, really, because he's better than what being a backup goalkeeper, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if he's happy, I'd be happy to keep him. I mean, he's not been great this season, but I think you'd struggle to get a better backup goalie. So if he's happy to stay, I don't see why we should let him go. You're not going to get much for him. You're going to get, 20 million tops, I think. So, like I said, I don't think you'd get a better backup goalkeeper. We've seen that in the past with like the likes of Adrian when they come in, it's just disastrous. Whereas with Kelleher, there's a mistake in him, but in terms of reliability, he's up there for a number 2. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking to sell him unless he comes and says I want to go, which doesn't seem to be the case, which is quite surprising. He does seem quite happy just to kind of play a bit part role. So yeah, for me, unless he's kicking up a fuss to want to make a move, I wouldn't sell him. I'd keep him. Yeah.
Paul, we've had this discussion already. So David Mbappe is £1 million per week with 120 million sign-on bonus. Would you really pay that? Paul, we already said earlier on the stream that we would probably Mbappe would have to reduce his wages, he wants to leave. Even with Real Madrid, he reduces wages. So you're talking, I think about 500. I bet he wants about 500k a week, right? 600 tops, okay? 120 million sign-on bonus. If you get 120 million sign-on bonus, that's cheaper than what you get him on a transfer fee. And first and foremost as well, it's not my money. So I don't give a crap what we pay for him. All I care is if Mbappe comes in, if we pay 600k a week for him, we've paid 120 million. If he's winning the league titles, I don't give a crap what we've paid for him, because that would make no difference after that. Once those league titles are coming in and those Champions Leagues are coming out, those trophies are coming in, whatever the fee is, we don't look back at. Do you look back at Van Dijk's fee? Do you look back at Al's fee? Oh, we shouldn't have paid that. Oof. No, you look at what they've done to the team. You look at how they've changed it to the club and what success they've brought us. Mbappe, I don't think he will be £1 million a week. He might be that at PSG, but when he goes to Madrid or Liverpool or an Arsenal, he's got to reduce his wages. He's got to do it. If he wants that success and that legacy that he's going to be craving, he's got to at some point do that. So at the end of the day, would I pay that? I don't think we need to pay that. And number two, I'm not paying that. So I don't care. And if we've got the players in there, I'll just care about what players will come in. If we sell him, just make sure there's a good backup buy-sell clause. Yeah, I think if we do sell Kelleher, Alan, do you agree? But we can't rely on Adrian. Sure.
No, I don't think Adrian's good enough to be first choice keeper for Liverpool. It's very rare you get a really, really good number two, because if they're really that good, they'd want to go and play somewhere else. You tend to get someone who's comes through the ranks who could play somewhere else, who is happy to be at the club, like Kelleher is. You wouldn't probably buy a Kelleher from somewhere else because he would think, well, why am I coming to sit on the bench when he could potentially be playing at a Forest or a Burnley or whatever it might be, Sheffield United type stuff. But Adrian isn't good enough. The only thing, obviously, you think Alisson, obviously, is whatever age he is now. You know, he's got a good couple of years left in him. And then potentially, you know, you could see him going back to South America, you know, play for his boyhood club in Brazil, maybe, something like that. If at that point you want a goalkeeper and you've sold Kelleher to Sheffield United or whoever, you know, mid-table Premier League team, and he's doing well, if you've got a buyback clause in, that's just smart business sense. Now, you might find in a couple of years' time he's not as good as we think when he's playing week in, week out, and we'd want to go and get a top keeper, even when Alisson goes. But yeah, I think whoever there was in the comments then, it's a good idea to, if you're going to sell someone, stick a buyback clause in, because you're just covering yourself, really.
Yeah, definitely. Jay says here, do you think UEFA will punish Man City and kick them out of the Champions League? I think once Premier League relegate them to Brighton Premier League, I don't think they've got a choice but to kick them out of the Champions League, because they won't be making the Champions League. That's another one. It's going to be a fun summer, boys. It's going to be an absolute fun summer. The Man City charges, Jurgen Klopp, director of football, and then transfers on top of that as well. It's going to be a very, very interesting summer. Paul says here, Bruno Gomes is a Liverpool supporter. Newcastle need money for FFP. Is he our number 6? Costs about 80 million. Again, if it costs 80 million, people's going to cry about the 80 million pounds. But look what you're buying. It's a player that can change our entire the way we're playing. It allows McAllister to go further forward. It gets the best out of Szoboszlai. It might get the best out of Trent. He's an unbelievable player. Sometimes you've got to pay for what you get, and sometimes you've got to just. You know, it's not like we can't afford 80 million. We can afford way more than that. I'm not saying go out there and get £8 million players and get £8 million players, get a Jude Bellingham, get Musiala, get Gomes. But sometimes, if you want that talent, you've got to pay for it. So it's definitely a player I would consider. Whether he's top of my list or not, I don't know yet. Going to the last bit of news before we do go tonight, guys. It was about the FA Cup being changed to TNT Sports. So, you know, I don't like BBC. I don't like mainstream sort of channels like that. But I still see it as bad news, because I think it's like a working man's game, playing football, and it's sort of being taken away from the working people of this country. Like having to pay for TNT, having to pay for Sky, having to pay for this. There's too much things for people to pay for. And FA Cup is an absolute delight for people that don't have Sky, that don't have TNT, that don't have things like that. to get to watch the FA Cup is part of your childhood. It's part of English culture. Having the FA Cup on BBC, it's just that, that John Motson commentary usually back in the day, and yeah. Alan, do you feel like the game's going because of greed and money?
Yeah, 100%. I think any time you have situations like where, when I was a young boy, it was only really the cup final that was on telly, really, and you might get the odd league game, but very, very rare. And I think the FA Cup should always be on terrestrial television because, not everyone, obviously, it's an expensive world we live in nowadays, and the idea of it going to be on TNT. Now, the FA Cup's losing its appeal to a lot of people. But, you have the average, person or couple or whatever it might be, you can't afford Sky or TNT. Oh, there's a football match on tonight. It's Barnsley versus Ipswich in the FA Cup. They might watch it, and that keeps that sort of like, and as it gets to the bigger teams, like Liverpool Arsenal was on there a few weeks ago. That's a big game. I think it got a big audience. The idea that go into TNT, yeah, you'll see the Liverpool fans all go and watch it. And, you might go to the pub if you haven't got TNT. But the average person who might not be a massive Liverpool or Arsenal fan, if we use that game as an example, might think, oh, I'll watch EastEnders instead, or I'll watch something else. So the FA Cup is getting even more devalued by chasing money, in my opinion.
We saw it in COVID times when they had games live and they tried to charge extra, didn't they, for something like, I don't know, was it like Burnley against Brighton? Something, was it West Brom game or something like that? Tried out extra, and no one was having it. I think, at some point there's going to be a camel that there's going to be a straw on the camels that breaks because people are not going to pay anymore. They can't do it. They can't pay for TNT. They can't pay for Sky. They can't pay for all this. And
I think if there was one,
start showing it.
Yeah, I think if there was one subscription for all football, it would be sold out.
That would.
If there was a Netflix of football and you had every Liverpool game available or every whatever game, it'd be on. It then tends to be where it's like you got to have a subscription. Last season you have to have Amazon, you have to have BT as it was TNT now, Sky. It seems crazy. Obviously, I know people who on the chat and whatever else live in different parts of the world where I'm sure it's on NBC in America or whatever else. So I think it would be a lot better to use just one subscription. That's what you pay a month or what you pay a season, and that's that. But it's when it's you got to pay for different ones. Like I haven't got BT or TNT. I've got Sky, so Saturday I have to go and tell my brothers to watch it or something like that.
You got to pick and choose which one
exactly,
you want, which one you're watching because TNT is it's Champions League and Europa League, so you want to watch them because Liverpool in the Europa League or Champions League. And then it's Sky when Liverpool are on Sky quite often. But again, you said it about the lower clubs as well. When the FA Cup is on the BBC, and for those lower clubs that can't go watch the teams and they don't get the chance to watch the teams on Sky because they're not often on Sky. These lower clubs, also we're on pretty much every week on Sky or TNT. What an opportunity for those to watch their teams on BBC and it's taking that away from them as well. I think it's. I just think it's just killing football, the whole greed situation. And it's a shame, really. I mean, the subscription idea is perfect. Add an extra £2 onto Netflix or something and add all Premier League games on. They'll make a killing, by the way. More people will subscribe to Netflix. They'll make the money back in tenfold.
Yeah. And
people will be tuning into Netflix all the time. I know they will talk about. I've seen talks about virtual season tickets, which could be a very, very good idea in the future. Where, Kat, I don't know if you guys have been in Liverpool games, but having a virtual ticket at home, so you get a season ticket for Liverpool and you can watch it maybe like a VR headset or something. I don't know how it would work, but it'd be from a point of view of a fan. Do you think that's the future?
I think in some ways though, obviously everything will kind of push to that. I went to Barcelona in the summer, and when you're sort of by the stadium, there's so much like VR stuff, and I think it will be soon. Like we'll start pushing it because obviously it's just an additional experience. But I don't ever think it will like take like people will do that over the game, and I also think it'll always be difficult with like streaming. Like it's so easy for people to do. Like I don't personally do it myself, but if you're on Twitter, there's a lot of accounts that just put the games up, and I just think it's just difficult. Like I think things are going to change, and they're always going to try and charge because they know, like probably us four, we'd be willing to spend extra money to watch the team, whereas then you're excluding people like who some of my friends, like their parents aren't from the UK, they don't support a team. So when teams were on TV, they had an opportunity to watch them. Like if you just have Freeview, or if your parents only pay for like the basic package, when your team's on, you then have the opportunity to watch and go, I really like this team, I really like this player, and you can start following. So I just think just pricing it up and everything, as you said, it's just taking away from like just people who don't have access or don't have money. It's becoming like a very exclusive sort of game now.
It is, but yeah, you're right. Exclusive is a perfect word, because I mean, back in the day, like golf was like an exclusive thing to like rich people, and only rich people can attend, and certain people can attend and go play golf at certain things. And football is sort of going the opposite direction, where it's becoming more exclusive to like people that can afford stuff, and this is why people do have to illegally stream. People don't want to illegally stream. If they could choose to pay just for a normal stream and pay like £10 a month for something, they'd choose that every day of the week. But the fact that they've cracked down on that illegal streaming more than do anything else tells you it is all about money and greed. I mean, they get more fines for streaming a thing than committing an actual crime these days. That's ridiculous. Like, where are morals? Where's common sense in this world? And I'm hoping at some point there is going to be a turning point where the general population's had enough. They physically just like can't do it anymore. They can't pay for this, can't pay for that, and they lose all the viewership. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping these people lose the viewership, and they have no choice but to be understandable and start to change the ways. We started the night on massive breaking news: Mbappe leaving FSG. FSG leaving PSG. He hasn't left FSG yet. He's not joined FSG yet. He's leaving PSG. And we're going to end the night on breaking news. Henderson is really old and slow, says Paul. That is breaking news. A bit late to the party there, Paul. About 5 years late. 5 years late. It's been old and slow for quite a long time. Thank you, everyone, tonight that has joined in. Thank you for the guest, Carter, Alan, and Tom. Brentford on Saturday. Let's hope we get off for a win on Saturday lunchtime, because Saturday lunchtimes are the worst games to have. Because if you lose them, it's going to be a miserable weekend. Hope you all have a good night and have a good weekend, everyone. And thank you, everyone, for joining in.